Hi guys, this is Shalini and I'm back to you with another video. Today I'm going to talk on arrhythmias. So if you like the video and the content, kindly do like, share and subscribe, and also let me know your valuable comments in the comment box. This is for the benefit of the ones who have not seen my previous video on basics of ECG. So I'll quickly review on the conduction system of the heart. This picture, if you look at, this is the SA node which generates an impulse which contracts the atria and lets down the impulse to the AV node. From the AV node, the impulse moves on to the bundle of His and then bifurcates into the Purkinje fibers and contracts the ventricles. When you look at a ECG strip, this is the P wave, this is a QRS complex, and you have the T wave, which is also a positive deflection. Now this P wave represents contraction of the atria, or it is called as atrial depolarization. The QRS complex represents ventricular depolarization, that is contraction of the ventricle. The T wave, if you look in this picture, represents ventricular repolarization, which means relaxation of the ventricles. Now in this picture, it is difficult to elicit where is the atrial repolarization. So on a ECG strip, it is believed to occur somewhere between the P wave and the QRS complex. Now, the point I want to emphasize here is, if there is an issue with your P wave on the ECG strip, then you have to immediately think of some issue with the atria. If there is a problem with the QRS complex on your ECG strip, that means there is a broadening of the QRS wave or there is a narrowing of the complex, then you have to think some issue with the ventricles. In the previous videos, definitely we have discussed about quite a few types of arrhythmias. But in today's class, we are going to look at atrial fibrillation, atrial flutter, ventricular fibrillation, and types of ventricular tachycardia. So that's the outline of today's discussion. Let us look at one by one. We'll begin with atrial fibrillation. I want you to put your focus onto this picture. Here, one thing I want you to understand is, in an atrial fibrillation, what happens is the impulses are discharged from any ectopic foci in the atria. So, may not be the SA node. Somewhere in the atria, the impulses are discharged at a faster rate, and which causes the fibrillating of the atria. Now, look at the ECG strip. The first thing is there is absent P wave, or P wave will mimic fibrillatory P waves. So, what is fibrillatory P waves? It will look something like this. If you want to compare it with an atrial flutter, it will look something like this. Atrial flutter, the P waves will have similar morphology, but on a fibrillation strip, you will not see the similar morphology, rather you will see fibrillatory P waves. Next thing is there is irregular rhythm. So the RR interval is not regular, or the rhythm of the strip is not regular. Now if you look at the RR interval here, you have two boxes. On the next, you have 3.5 boxes mostly. Okay, 3 boxes, let's say. So the rhythm is not regular. The next thing is the rate is almost 400 to 600 beats per minute, and the number of QRS complexes is half the number of P waves. So that is atrial fibrillation. Now a little more about atrial fibrillation. There is something called as the F wave. F wave is nothing, it is just the fibrillatory P wave. So either it will fibrillate like this, or there will be a minute oscillation of the baseline. So either of this can happen. You will not be able to clearly elicit how the P wave looks like. Either there will be fibrillation, or there will be a minute oscillation of the baseline, keeping in mind that the RR interval will be irregular. So this is the most classic feature which you can pick up in a atrial fibrillation. Next thing is Ashman's phenomena. Ashman's phenomena is not very common, but I'd like to just brief you on it. What does it mean? So when you see an aberration on a ECG strip with the atrial fibrillation, it is called as Ashman's phenomena. Let us look at this picture for a better clarity. Now, for example, there is one impulse A which is generated from some ectopic place in the atria. It comes to the AV node. But when it comes to the AV node, it has to wait because there is some block in the bundle of His, either in the left side or in the right side, there is some block. So the impulse that has come here will not move smoothly, but it will take its own time to move. So in the course of time, what will happen on a ECG strip? The QRS complex will broaden. So I had already told you QRS complex represents ventricular depolarization. So ventricular depolarization or contraction will happen only when the impulses pass through the bundle of His and it will come to the Purkinje fibers. So when there is a delay here, what will happen? There is broadening of the QRS complex. And when it is a typical M or a W pattern on a V1 or a V6 lead, then you definitely have to think of a bundle branch block. And when it's an M pattern on the V1 lead, then it is called as a right bundle branch block. So the point here that I want to emphasize is, when you have an aberration, it can be left or right bundle branch block, but when there is an aberration on a strip with atrial fibrillation, you call it as Ashman's phenomena. What are the treatment measures for atrial fibrillation? One thing you can think of is prescribing for beta blockers and calcium channel blockers, or even digoxin to these patients, just to make sure that you have their heart rate in stability. Next thing is cardioversion, definitely synchronized cardioversion, which can be attempted in the first 48 hours, because then you have a risk of thromboembolism. So that is another thing. So here is a picture of cardioversion which is synchronized. Next you can think of is a catheter ablation. So I have told you, probably it's not the SA node that is generating an impulse. It is some ectopic foci which is generating an impulse and which causes fibrillation of the atria. So in this therapy, what you do is you guide a catheter through the IVC or the inferior vena cava, and then you try to ablate or destroy that particular area which is discharging the impulse. So that is catheter ablation. Next thing is giving anticoagulants. One very important thing we have to remember in the course of time is, people who come to us or patients who come to us with atrial fibrillation and flutter, things like that, will definitely have a higher risk or a higher chance of developing clots in the atria. So this is one therapy that you have to keep in mind, or this is the first thing that you have to keep in mind, is prescribing them of anticoagulants. Next condition that we have to look at today is atrial flutter. And this is the second most common tachyarrhythmia. It occurs in patients with significant heart disease. So what are the features of atrial flutter? Just like atrial fibrillation, again the impulses are discharged from some ectopic foci in the atria, and the rate is almost 260 to 300 beats per minute. And as I have told you in the previous picture also, usually in a flutter, the waves are of the similar morphology and it will look fluttery or will have a sawtooth appearance. It is called as a sawtooth P wave. Another thing I want you to remember is, usually it is fast but it is regular, and it also depends on the degree of AV block. That means you can elicit what is the degree of AV block when you look at a atrial flutter strip. Now I have 1, 2, 3, or here in a bigger view I have 1, 2, 3 P waves is to 1 QRS complex. Then I'll say it is 3:1 block. When I have 2 P waves and when I have 1 QRS complex, then I'll say it is 2:1 block. So you can even elicit the degree of AV block when you look at an atrial flutter slip, and usually you look at the lead 2 in the strip. So what is the treatment that you want to give for a patient who comes to you with flutter? One thing is, we can think of vagal stimulation, that is carotid massage. You try to massage the carotid artery, not more than 5 to 10 seconds. Also making sure you are not occluding the artery. Your aim is only vagal stimulation. Second thing is synchronized cardioversion. Also giving them antiarrhythmic drugs to maintain the stability of the heart rate. Also ablation therapy to ablate the particular area which discharges a ectopic impulse. A quick recap on what we have been looking at, that is atrial fibrillation and flutter. So if you look at the first picture, you have a normal P wave, QRS complex and the T wave. But if you look at the second picture, it is atrial fibrillation. You have fibrillatory P waves, and the second most important thing is the RR interval is not very regular. So it is irregular rhythm. On the third picture, if you see, this is atrial flutter, where you have sawtooth appearance of the P wave, which is almost of the similar morphology. And also one thing you have to remember is, you can always elicit the degree of block when you look at the number of P waves is to the QRS complex. So that's atrial fibrillation versus flutter. Let us look at ventricular fibrillation. So what are the features of ventricular fibrillation? It originates in the ventricles. That means the ectopic foci is somewhere in the ventricles, and the mechanism is, there is existence of multiple re-entry circuits. We have been talking about re-entry circuits in the previous video, so you can always refer to what is it. if left untreated can cause asystole and arrest, and the rate is almost 300 to 600 beats per minute. There are broad QRS complexes. So if you look at this strip, there is broad QRS complex. It's difficult to elicit which is the P wave or the QRS complex, because usually the P wave is buried into the QRS complex. So this is the fashion at which you will see in a ventricular fibrillation strip. Ventricular tachycardia, again it originates in the ventricles, which is potentially life threatening. The rate is almost 100 to 250 beats per minute. Patients might experience pre-syncope or syncope, and in the course of time it may degenerate into ventricular fibrillation. Now let us look at the types of ventricular tachycardia. So there are 4 types majorly. There is something called a sustained ventricular tachycardia. That means you have a ventricular tachycardia more than 30 seconds. There is non-sustained ventricular tachycardia when you have ventricular tachycardia less than 30 seconds. There is monomorphic VT and there is polymorphic VT, which I'll discuss in the slides to come. Let us look at monomorphic ventricular tachycardia. The first thing that I want you guys to focus is on this picture. So it is not the regular SA node or AV node that generates an impulse and causes ventricular depolarization or contraction of the ventricle. Rather, it is some ectopic foci, some place in the ventricle which starts discharging an impulse. So when it is the same ectopic focus which discharges all the impulse, the kind of QRS complexes will be similar. So same morphology when it is the same ectopic focus, and the QRS complexes will be broad. So all the impulses are generated from this one particular place, then you have a similar morphology. P waves are buried in the QRS complex and it has got a normal rhythm. So that is monomorphic ventricular tachycardia. Polymorphic ventricular tachycardia, probably the impulses are not generated from the same ectopic foci, and so you don't have a same morphology. You have a different morphology of waves. So varying morphology of the QRS complex or varying electrical axis. The rate is almost 100 to 320 beats per minute and it is quite unstable. There is something called as torsades de pointes. So this is a type of polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. That means the type of QRS complexes that you see is not similar. It has varying morphology, but at the same time, you can elicit a spiral type of an appearance, and that is why it is called as torsades de pointes. The first drug of choice we give for these patients is magnesium sulfate. So just a recap on ventricular fibrillation versus tachycardia. So a ventricular fibrillation strip might look something like this to you. Monomorphic ventricular tachycardia is when you have broad QRS complex. Definitely in each of this you have broad, but then it is of the same morphology. In a polymorphic ventricular tachycardia, you have broad QRS complexes, but it is not of the same morphology. Let us delineate the treatment strategies for these patients, especially when the patient is in pulseless ventricular tachycardia or ventricular fibrillation, which is a shockable rhythm. You definitely have to get ready with the defibrillation. So when the patient is unconscious, what you start with is the CPR, that is a cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Once you identify as a shockable rhythm, you go ahead defibrillating the patient, and then you continue CPR, because the common understanding is defibrillation will only help you to terminate the arrhythmia, but for the heart to start a normal impulse, for the SA node to generate a normal impulse, you'll have to continue CPR. The drug of choice is injection epinephrine 1 mg IV every 3 to 5 minutes, which will help the contraction. Injection vasopressin 40 units IV, which will increase the peripheral vascular resistance, and injection amiodarone 150 mg IV. This will help you to terminate the arrhythmia. Consider advanced airway. This is because you will want to maintain a protected and patent airway, and also transcutaneous spacing, especially for patients who have multiple episodes of arrhythmias or continuous arrhythmia, which will help to pick up the arrhythmias quickly and terminate them as well. In conclusion, arrhythmias can sometimes be fatal, and hence prompt diagnosis and treatment is the key to saving life. Thank you. I hope that you have liked today's video. And if you have any doubts, clarifications or comments, you can always leave it back in the comment box. Otherwise, thank you and have a nice day.